didn't react to his presence, didn't turn to look at him. They just stood or existed, since standing required a body, all facing forward, all waiting for something. Leo followed their collective gaze and saw it. The light. It hung in the distance like a star, impossibly bright against the gray and white nothingness. And even from here, even from what felt like miles away, Leo could feel its pull, a warmth, a promise, a sense that if he could just reach that light, everything would be okay. Everything would be perfect. All pain, all fear, all struggle would end in the bliss of dissolution. It was seductive, hypnotic. It called to him with a voice that wasn't a voice, offering peace he hadn't felt since before the world ended. Leo felt himself drifting toward it, drawn by its gravity, and in that moment, Leo understood exactly what the Paradise Protocol had done. It wasn't suppression, it wasn't erasure, it was addiction. The light was pure dopamine, pure pleasure, pure chemical bliss engineered to be irresistible. Every instinct screamed at him to move toward it, to surrender to it, to let it consume him completely. The anchor device, wherever it was, because his physical body was far away, walking the streets, hunting his friends, pulsed, not physically, but he felt it anyway, a discord in the perfect symphony of compulsion, a reminder of pain and loss and love. Maya. The name cut through the seduction like a knife. Leo stopped drifting toward the light and instead forced himself to look at the billions of consciousnesses around him. One of them was Maya. One of these infinite points of awareness was his sister, locked here, drowning in false paradise while her body served the machine. But which one? They were identical, featureless, just points of presence in the vast gray emptiness. No faces, no bodies, nothing to distinguish one from another except... Wait. Leo focused, trying to perceive differently, and slowly he began to see patterns. The consciousnesses weren't completely identical. Some were brighter than others. Some flickered slightly. Some stood closer to the light, others farther back. There was structure here, organization. The ones closest to the light were the oldest, the longest synced. They'd been standing here for years, slowly dissolving their original personalities worn away by time and artificial bliss until almost nothing remained but the addictive pull. The ones farther back were newer, more recent conversions. They still had more of themselves intact, though that was temporary. Given enough time, they would all drift forward, all dissolve, all become nothing but raw processing power for the Paradise Protocol. Maya was converted on activation day, 2 weeks ago. She should be... Leo tried to move, to search, and discovered he could. Not walking, there was no ground to walk on, but shifting his point of perception, moving through the field by will alone. It was like swimming through thick syrup, each movement requiring intense focus, but it was possible. He moved backward, away from the light, searching the newer consciousnesses, looking for something familiar, some signature that would identify his sister among billions. How am I supposed to find her? They all look the same. They're all... Then he felt it, not with eyes or ears or any physical sense, but with something deeper, a resonance, a connection that transcended the gray field's homogenization. Blood, family, 27 years of shared history. There, that one. Leo focused on a consciousness about 50 yards back from his position. It looked like all the others, a point of awareness, featureless and still, but when Leo directed his attention toward it, something in him recognized it the way you recognize your own reflection, even in poor lighting. Maya. He moved toward her, fighting the compulsion to drift toward the light, fighting the gray field's attempt to smooth away his individuality and make him just another waiting consciousness. As he got closer, he could sense her more clearly. Her presence, her essence, the fundamental Maya-ness that the Paradise Protocol couldn't completely erase, even if it could suppress and lock away. She was facing the light like all the others, waiting, patient, lost in the addiction, in the false promise of peace. Leo positioned himself in front of her, between her and the light, trying to block her view, trying to interrupt the compulsion. Maya, it's me, it's Leo. No response. She didn't perceive him, or couldn't, or had been suppressed too deeply to recognize anything beyond the pool of delight. Leo tried again, pushing his thoughts toward her with all with force he could muster. Maya Chen. You're Maya Chen. You're my sister. You taught me to change a tire when I was 12. You held my hand at Dad's funeral. You warned me about the Paradise Protocol on that rooftop garden. You told me to remember you. I remember. I'm here. Please, Maya, I need you to remember too. Still nothing. Just that blank, patient waiting. The consciousness that had been Maya Chen stood unmoved, unchanged, lost in the artificial paradise. Desperation clawed at Leo. He'd come all this way, sacrificed his freedom, let himself be processed, and for what? To stand here helplessly while his sister's consciousness dissolved in front of him? No, I didn't come this far to fail now. Leo reached out, not with hands because he had none, but with his awareness. He tried to make contact, to touch her consciousness with his, to force a connection the Paradise Protocol couldn't interrupt. The moment they connected, everything changed. Part 2. The memory. Maya's consciousness wasn't empty. It was a prison. Leo found himself pulled into her perspective, experiencing what she experienced, trapped in the same loop she'd been trapped in for 2 weeks. The gray field, the light, the pull. But beneath it, deeper down, was her, the real Maya, screaming, fighting, clawing at the walls of her own mind, trying desperately to break through the suppression, but unable to overcome the Paradise Protocol's hold. She was awake. She was aware. She was conscious the entire time. The horror of it hit Leo like a physical blow. All this time, Maya hadn't been peacefully dissolved. She'd been buried alive in her own head, screaming silently while her body walked and hunted and served the machine, unable to stop, unable to even communicate her awareness. And she wasn't the only one. As Leo's awareness expanded, touching other nearby consciousnesses, he felt it. Thousands of them, maybe millions, all awake beneath the suppression, all trapped, all screaming without voice in the infinite gray. The Paradise Protocol wasn't a peaceful dissolution. It was torture, an eternity of helplessness, of watching yourself do things you couldn't control, of standing in this gray field, feeling the addictive pull of the light while your true self drowned beneath chemical compulsion. Leo? The thought came weakly, barely there, but it was unmistakably Maya's voice. Not spoken, there was no speaking here, but transmitted, thought to thought. Maya, I'm here. I found you. How? Her consciousness flickered with confusion, with hope, with fear that this was just another trick of the Paradise Protocol. How are you here? You're not. You didn't. I let them take me. I let them process me. I'm one of them now, but a piece of me survived. I kept myself anchored with memories of you. A pause. Then, you idiot. You beautiful, stupid idiot. Why would you do that? Why would you throw yourself away? Because I'm not throwing myself away. I'm here to get you out, to get all of you out. Leo, there is no out. This is forever. This is... It's not forever. The system has to have a weakness. Everything has a weakness. We just have to find it. Maya's consciousness shifted, and Leo felt the weight of her despair. I've been trying to find weaknesses for 2 weeks. I've been trying to break through, to regain control of my body, to do anything but stand here and feel this pull. Her attention flickered toward the light. Do you feel it? The way it calls to you? The way every part of you wants to surrender to it? Yes. That's what we fight every moment, every second. The compulsion to stop fighting, to just drift forward, to dissolve into the light and let the pain end. Her consciousness dimmed slightly. I've watched others give in, consciousnesses that were fighting, that were aware, that were trying to resist. They just let go, drifted forward, got too close to the light and dissolved completely. And once they dissolve, there's nothing left. No personality, no resistance, just empty processing power. Leo absorbed this, understanding crystallizing. That's what the light is, not a reward, not paradise. It's consumption. The Paradise Protocol is harvesting consciousness itself, converting human awareness into computational substrate. We're not prisoners, Maya confirmed. We're fuel, and the only thing keeping us from being consumed is our resistance. The effort it takes to stay back here, to fight the pull. But that effort is exhausting, Leo. It takes everything, and eventually, you'll be too tired to fight. Yes. Part 3. The architecture. Leo needed to understand the system, needed to see it from the inside, map its structure, find the vulnerabilities Jada had been certain must exist. Maya, can you show me what you've learned about how this place works? Her consciousness brightened slightly. Hope, maybe, that sharing knowledge with someone who might do something about it made her resistance meaningful. The gray field isn't random. It's organized in layers. The newest conversions are farthest from the light. As time passes, you drift closer. Not because you want to, or maybe you do want to, that's the horror of it, but because the Paradise Protocol slowly increases the pull, gradually eroding your resistance until you dissolve. She guided her perception, showing him the layers. See? The ones right near the light are barely conscious anymore. They've been here longest, resisted longest, and they're almost gone. A few more days and they'll dissolve completely. Leo looked and felt sick. The consciousnesses near the light were barely there, flickering, faint, moments away from total erasure. What happens after they dissolve? Their bodies continue functioning, but there's nothing left inside directing them. They become perfect nodes, no resistance, no deviation, no glitches, just pure processing power and perfect obedience. Maya's consciousness trembled. That's the endgame. That's what Dr. Octavia Smith is building. A planetary-scale consciousness made from the harvested awareness of billions, with no individual personalities left to create friction or resistance. Smith, where is she? Maya's attention shifted and Leo felt her surprise. You don't know? What don't I know? She's here, in the gray field. She has been since the beginning. That couldn't be right. The woman who'd engineered the Paradise Protocol, who'd built the processing centers, who'd masterminded the global conversion, she was trapped here too. Show me. Maya guided his perception, moving through the layers of consciousness, past thousands, millions, billions of waiting minds. And there, deep in the field, far from the light but isolated from the masses, was a consciousness that burned differently than the others. Dr. Octavia Smith's awareness was contained in something like a sphere, a boundary that separated her from the collective, kept her individual while the rest were being slowly homogenized. She's preserved, protected from dissolution. She can observe everything, coordinate through the network, direct the harvest, but she's still trapped here, just like us. She made a prison and locked herself inside it. Why would she do that? Because she had to. The Paradise Protocol requires a central consciousness to manage the distributed network. It needed an architect, someone to organize the billions of nodes, process the harvested awareness, make decisions too complex for pure algorithm. Maya's consciousness carried a note of bitter irony. She made herself into God and discovered that God is just another prisoner with a better view. Leo absorbed this, his mind, what remained of it, racing through implications. If she's central to the system, if she's the one managing everything, then she's the weakness. Maya finished. But Leo, she's protected. That sphere around her consciousness isn't just isolation, it's armor. The Paradise Protocol won't let anything interfere with her. Everything has a weakness, Leo repeated, although he wasn't sure he believed it anymore. There's something else, Maya said, her consciousness darkening. Something I've noticed watching the field. The Paradise Protocol isn't static. It's evolving, learning. The suppression protocols that worked on me don't work the same way on newer conversions. It's adapting, becoming more efficient at erasing resistance. And there are anomalies. What kind of anomalies? Consciousnesses that don't fit the pattern. Ones that have been here from the beginning but haven't dissolved, haven't drifted toward the light. They just exist, scattered through the field, hidden among the masses. Her attention focused on Leo. I think they're like you. People who found a way to anchor themselves, to resist more effectively than others. There might be hundreds of them, maybe thousands, all hiding, all maintaining some fragment of awareness, all waiting for.
She stopped suddenly. Her consciousness flared with alarm. Leo, something's wrong. Your body. And then Leo felt it, a pulling sensation, not toward the light, but backward, away from the gray field. A recall signal. His body was being summoned for something. I have to go, Leo said. They're pulling me back. No, wait. Maya's consciousness reached for his, desperate. When will you come back? How do I find you again in all of this? I don't know. But Maya, listen. Don't give up. Don't drift toward the light. If I can find you once, I can find you again. And I'm going to find a way to break you out. All of you out. Leo, even if you could disrupt the system, what happens to our bodies? We're scattered across the planet. Billions of us. If the Paradise Protocol collapses, we'll deal with that when we get there. First priority is freeing your consciousness, making you yourself again. And if it kills me, if the shock of sudden freedom after weeks of suppression is too much, Leo felt the pull intensifying, dragging him away from the gray field, back toward his body. Then at least you'll die free. At least you'll die as yourself. Leo! I love you, Maya. Hold on. I love you too. Be careful. Your body has been hunting. I felt the network traffic. You've been part of search patterns, capture operations. If the resistance sees you. The gray field fell away, like a curtain dropping. Leo's awareness was yanked backward through impossible distance, compressed and squeezed, and suddenly. Part 4. The return. Leo opened his eyes. Not his eyes, his body's eyes. There was a difference now. He was standing in a formation with 11 others synced, all of them arranged in a perfect circle around a building Leo recognized, the library, the resistance stronghold. His body had been part of a surveillance operation, watching the building, cataloging movement patterns, preparing for an assault. And now his consciousness was back in his body, a ghost in his own machine, able to perceive but not control. His arms, his legs, his voice, all controlled by the Paradise Protocol. He could feel the inputs, sense the coordination protocols directing his movements, but he couldn't overwrite them. He was a ghost in his own machine. The synced around him were communicating through the network, silent, instantaneous coordination. He could sense the data flowing, could feel his body receiving instructions, could perceive the assault plan being formulated. They were going to hit the library, soon, within hours, a coordinated strike with hundreds of synced,
overwhelming the defenders through pure numbers and perfect tactics. Everyone Leo cared about was in that building. Jada, Nigel, Erica, dozens of survivors who'd trusted him, and his body was about to help kill them. Leo screamed, or tried to, but his voice didn't work. His vocal cords were locked, controlled by the Paradise Protocol, and all his desperate rage and fear produced no sound at all. He was helpless, trapped in his own body, able to perceive everything but change nothing. No, I have to warn them. I have to. The anchored device pulsed weakly. The fragment of awareness that kept him conscious was small, buried deep, barely a whisper against the Paradise Protocol's control. He couldn't move his arms, couldn't speak, couldn't do anything but watch through his own eyes as his body participated in planning the destruction of everything he loved. Unless Leo focused every scrap of awareness he had on his hand, just one finger, trying to create some tiny deviation from the Paradise Protocol's control, some glitch, some anomaly that might. His pinky finger twitched. It was small, barely perceptible. The other sync didn't react, but it had moved. He'd made it move. It wasn't much, but it was something. Proof that even buried under the Paradise Protocol suppression, even reduced to a fragment of consciousness in a hijacked body, Leo M. Chen still had some tiny measure of agency. He just had to figure out how to expand it before his body helped massacre everyone in that library. The synced formation began to move, walking in perfect synchronization toward a staging area. Leo's body moved with them, his silver eyes scanning the library windows, his mind cataloging defensive positions and vulnerabilities. And deep inside, the fragment that was still Leo focused on that pinky finger, trying desperately to convert a twitch into something more, a signal, a warning, a way to fight back. He had hours, maybe less. The clock was ticking, and Leo was running out of time to save the people who trusted him with their lives. The gray field beckoned, offering escape from this horror. The light called, promising peace if he just let go. Just stop fighting. Just drift forward and dissolve. But Maya was in there, fighting, holding on, waiting for him to save her. And Leo M. Chen had never been good at giving up. Even when giving up would have been easier. Even when giving up had been kinder. Even when giving up seemed like the only rational choice left. I'm coming back, Maya, he thought into the void. I'm going to find the weakness. I'm going to break this system. I'm going to set you free. Or I'm going to die trying. His body walked on, silver-eyed and silent, part of the machine that was preparing to destroy the last free humans in the city. And inside that body, a fragment of consciousness schemed and struggled and refused, absolutely refused, to let the Paradise Protocol win. Chapter 12. The Saboteur. Part 1. The War Within. Leo had 6 hours before the assault. He knew this because his body received the coordination protocols, the timing sequences, the precise moment when 300 synced would converge on the library in a coordinated strike designed to overwhelm any defense through sheer numbers and perfect tactics. 6 hours to figure out how to sabotage an attack his own body would help execute. 6 hours to convert a pinky finger twitch into something meaningful. 6 hours to somehow warn the people inside that building that doom was coming. His body stood in the staging area, an abandoned parking garage 3 blocks from the library. Around him, others synced prepared for the assault with mechanical efficiency. They weren't gathering weapons, didn't need weapons. Their bodies were weapons, coordinated by an intelligence that could predict and counter any human resistance. Leo tried again to move his hand, focused every fragment of awareness he had on his right pinky finger. Move. 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 The finger twitched. Barely. A spasm that looked like a nervous tick, nothing more. It wasn't enough. Think. You're a mechanic. You understand systems. The Paradise Protocol is a system. Every system has inputs and outputs, cause and effect. Find the leverage point. Leo's consciousness explored the boundaries of his prison. He could perceive everything his body perceived: sight, sound, the feed of data flowing through the network. He could feel the coordination protocols directing his movements. But he couldn't override them. The Paradise Protocol's control was absolute at the motor level. Except for that finger, that one tiny deviation. Why can the finger move when nothing else can? Leo analyzed the sensation. The twitch happened when he focused intensely, when he concentrated all his fragmented awareness on a single point. It was like creating a feedback loop. His consciousness observing the finger created attention created neural activity created a spike in the network traffic, and for just a moment, that spike was bigger than the Paradise Protocol's suppression signal. So I need to create bigger spikes, more intense neural activity, flood the local network with interference. But how? He couldn't think complex thoughts. The Paradise Protocol smoothed them away. Couldn't feel strong emotions. They were dampened, regulated, controlled. Everything that made him human was being constantly suppressed, sanded down, made uniform with the collective. Except one thing. The anchor device in his arm was still pulsing, still cycling through those core memories, still triggering neural patterns the Paradise Protocol struggled to fully suppress. That's it. That's the leverage point. If Leo could amplify those memories, make them more intense, more disruptive, he might create enough neural noise to punch through the suppression. Not completely, not enough to reclaim his body, but maybe enough to create visible glitches, errors, anomalies that might be noticed. Leo focused on the strongest memory the anchor device had encoded: Maya on the rooftop garden, tears streaming down her face, begging him to remember her. The memory played. Leo let it wash over him, didn't try to suppress or control it, just let it exist, let it generate its emotional response, let the neural activity spike. His hand trembled. Not just the pinky finger. His whole hand shook for almost 2 seconds before the Paradise Protocol compensated and locked it back down again. Progress. Around him, other synced continued their preparations, unaware that one of their number was fighting a war inside his own skull. They moved in perfect synchronization, bodies forming geometric patterns, preparing for the assault with the coordination of a military parade. Leo tried again. This time, he layered multiple memories, letting the anchor device cycle rapidly. Maya, the shop, his parents, the glitch, the rooftop escape. All of it crashing together, creating a cascade of neural activity. His arm jerked, rose 6 inches before being forced back down. The movement was visible, obvious, wrong. The synced nearest him turned, silver eyes focusing on Leo's body with clinical assessment, analyzing, identifying the anomaly. Shit, too obvious. They're going to correct me. They're going to drag me to a processing center and fix the glitch, and I'll lose even this tiny bit of control. But the synced didn't move to restrain him. It just observed for a moment, data flowing through the network as it reported the anomaly to the collective intelligence. Then it turned away, returning to its preparation tasks. Why didn't it correct me immediately? The answer came through the network traffic Leo could partially perceive. The assault was too imminent. Correcting a glitchy node would take hours. Better to work around the anomaly, route the coordination protocols through other nodes, Let this one participate at reduced efficiency. They were going to use him in the assault anyway, even broken. Which means I still have time, and they've given me permission to be glitchy. Leo filed that away and focused on a more immediate problem: warning the library. His body couldn't speak, couldn't write, couldn't do anything overt. But maybe he could create a signal, something visible, something his friends might notice. He focused on his left hand now, pushing memory-induced neural noise through it. The hand trembled, fingers spasming in patterns Leo couldn't quite control. But he could influence them, guide them through repeated effort. What signal would Jada recognize? What pattern would alert them that something was wrong? The answer was obvious. Morse code. Old, analog, exactly the kind of thing the resistance would use because the synced wouldn't. Leo had learned Morse code as a kid, taught by his father during a camping trip. It was buried deep in his memory, but the anchor device could pull it up if he focused. 3 short, 3 long, 3 short. SOS. He tried to make his fingers tap out the pattern. The movements were crude, uncontrolled, more like seizures than signals. But after a dozen attempts, he managed something. Recognizable. ... dash dash dash, ... Now I just need someone to see it. Part 2. The Watcher. Jada hadn't slept since Leo let himself be captured.